Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. If you enjoying this fanfic then press the like button and subscribe my channel.
Let's start a fanfic. Which is, what if Naruto became the predator heir with a deadly harem? Part 1. On this dreadful night the Kyuubi no Kitsune was set free and is on a rampage throughout Konoha, the Leaf Village, killing all villagers and shinobi alike. Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, is putting a stop to the savage beast by using an ancient seal to seal it away. In the Yondaime's arms was a baby boy. Blonde hair and is crying. Minato glanced down at his son. With guilt on his face, there was no other way to do this. No other way at all. He couldn't seal the Kyuubi back in Kushina. Since her seal is weakened, he has no choice but to seal the beast in his son. He knew the life all Jinchuriki has been through. He couldn't bring himself to ask another family to use their child, and he didn't want to turn his son into a Jinchuriki, but what choice does he have? He hopes the villagers will see his son as a hero and not hate him like all other villagers due to their Jinchuriki. He entrusts Jiraiya, Sarutobi, Kakashi and Tsunade to look after his son. Hopefully the village will understand. Forgive me for doing this to you, Naruto. Me and your mother both never wanted this to happen. Minato says. He glanced at the Kyuubi who glared at him. He decided to lure the Kyuubi away from the village. With Kushina weakened, Kushina tried her best to reach to Minato knowing he has her son and hopes he wasn't considering on sealing the beast in her son. She was being supported by an invisible figure. Almost there, she says. You need rest. You're too weak, says a deep distorted voice. No, I can do this, Dragon-san. Just help me get there. Kushina says as she tried to keep walking. She was cornered by 6 root shinobi. Kushina Uzumaki. Surrender and come with us quietly, said the root captain with Kushina narrowing her eyes and scowling. So it seems that old fart Danzo still has root active behind Hiruzen and Minato. She says with anger. Come with us now. You are weak, resistance is futile. The captain says while she laughed. I'm not going anywhere. You all are about to die. She says smiling. Before the captain could question or do anything, 3 red dots were soon on his forehead and out of nowhere a blue blast of chakra blew his whole head off. The other root Anbu jumped back in shock. 2 other root Anbu attempted to lunge at Kushina, but a flying disc went past their necks beheading them. The other 3 stood still looking around at what was attacking them. They couldn't see nothing. The next one was sent flying into a tree impaled by something, revealing it to be an invisible spear that made itself known. The last 2 root Anbu were frightened what was killing them. They looked from all directions. The other saw an invisible figure sprint at him with sharp wrist blades and instantly stabbed him through the stomach, killing him instantly. The last root decided to retreat only for an arrow to hit him in the back. Thanks guys, says Kushina. The 3 invisible figures revealed themselves. All 3 of them were armored and armed with weapons. Each of them were 7 foot tall. And wore masks. The third masked figure wore a bird-shaped mask, wearing black armor with feathers. Its skin color was a darker blue. Both shoulders are mounted with plasma canisters. It has double wrist blades extended 15-inch long. On its boot has a jagged dagger in its osler, a net launcher, smart disc, and its melee weapon is a jagged sword. This one is named Falcon. The second was a female. She was colored dark yellow with black spots. She barely wore armor, just scantily clad lewd armor though. That's revealing. A thong with a drape on the front. Her mask is black with red lens. Her body was voluptuous. Her top was fishnet. Her weapons. A now and several arrows, a plasma canister on her right shoulder. In her left hand she was holding a whip, her right wrist double blades, 14-inch long, a net launcher, an elder sword on her right hip. And 2 smart discs. Her name is Artemis. And the first wore a samurai-like attire colored in red, skin color is green with a mounted plasma canister. A katana on his hip along with holding a combo stick. Of course he has a pair of bladed gauntlets. This samurai predator was called Dragon. These 3 are called Yaujta or predators. And how is it that Kushina knows them, is in friendly with them? It all started when the first shinobi war had happened and when her clan Uzu was still active and alive at the time. The Uzumakis made a secret pact with mysterious beings that come from the stars or in this case space. These mysterious beings were called the Predators. They came to Uzu to seek for potential worthy opponents to test their strength. They were the first clan in the elemental nations to be in contact with beings that are not from their world. No other clan or village has ever had this opportunity. The Yaujtas challenged the Uzumaki clan to see if they were worthy to be allies and formidable trophies. And the challenge was that one Yaujta from a clan has to take down 7 Uzumaki in a gauntlet of the hunt. It took 3 days for the challenge to be over. 6 Uzumakis were killed by the Yaujta. However, one remained alive and gained the upper hand by defeating the Yaujta, which earned its respect. After the challenge was over, the Yaujtas deemed the Uzumaki clan worthy and became allies in secret. Not even those in Konoha knew about their secret alliance with the Yaujtas. Mito never told her husband and his brother about the secret alliance. As they have been allies for years, they made trade offerings to the Yaujtas, teaching them ninjutsu, sealing arts and whatnot that the Uzumaki clan were famous for. They would take time in visiting the Uzumaki clan when they wanted to. And when the Second Shinobi War happened, along with the Uzumakis being hunted down and killed by the formed alliance of Suna, Kiri, Iwa and Kumo, they tried to send a distress signal to their allies in space for help. And by the time the Yaujtas got there, they were too late and were enraged that their allies had fallen. But not all was lost. Knowing it could be a possibility that some of the Uzumaki clan members escaped and made it out alive, the elder who made the alliance with Uzu had sent one of his elite hunters to find the princess of the Uzumaki clan. And that princess was Kushina Uzumaki, and she was located in Konoha, the Leaf Village. And that elite is Dragon, who wore samurai-like armor. Dragon met Kushina when she was a child. He had protected her throughout her whole childhood, unseen and undetected. Seeing that she was strong enough to protect herself, Dragon had stayed hidden but watched her. She and him were close and are friends. Since she was a princess and possibly last survivor of the Uzumaki clan, Dragon was her full-time bodyguard, in which he accepted. No one knows about him but her. Not even Minato knew. As Kushina grown up, Dragon had left for a short period of time. He himself is getting teammates of his own, Falcon and Artemis. The Yaujtas were aware about the 9 tails and the other tailed beasts since they learned this from the Uzumaki clan and knew Kushina is holding the Kyuubi. When Kushina turned on her distress signal when she was assaulted by the masked man and had the Kyuubi ripped out from her, Dragon and his teammates were on the way to help her in any way they can, even if they risked being detected. The 4 now went their way to Minato. "You guys hide. I'll get to Minato," she says. "Kushina, be well," Dragon says as he and his teammates cloaked themselves, watching her get to Minato. In the next 10 minutes, the trio had watched the sealing of the Kyuubi being put into Kushina's sun, along with hers and Minato's sacrifice. Dragon and his team went to the fallen family. Baby Naruto cried as Artemis came by and picked him up. "Dragon, I have one last wish for you. Take my son with you. Raise him and teach him. I can't let him stay in Konoha if they knew about him having the fox sealed into him. Let him know that me and his father loved him," Kushina says, looking at her protector who nodded, seeing her now die, closing her eyes. Dragon and his team had left, taking Naruto with them, since Naruto is now the last Uzumaki and he must look after him as he did with Kushina. Elsewhere, having left Konoha, Dragon and his team had got on their cloaked spaceship and decided to take off. Now heading to Yaujta Prime. Yaujta Prime. They traveled there in hyperspace since Earth was very far from their planet. They arrived heading to meet the elder who assigned him to look after the last Uzumaki. As the 3 bowed to the elder, in the Hokage Tower, sat Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Sandaime Hokage, the professor. He had come out of retirement and is now taking lead in Konoha. The Kyuubi had escaped from Kushina's seal and went on a rampage. Both Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki are dead. But where was their son? Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. Where was he? Had Iwa sent in spies in their village under their noses to try and take Minato down, or took his son out of spite? No. Iwa wouldn't dare. Onoki wouldn't do something like that to risk more Iwa shinobi, since he lost so many in the last shinobi war. Naruto is missing. When he got to their location of the ceiling, both of them had already died, yet Naruto was not with them. He called Inuzuka clan members to search for Naruto. The Inuzukas and their dogs caught whiff of three unusual scents that they never smelled before and could not identify whose scents did they belong to. What disturbed him was that they found skinned bodies in trees. Only difference is the bodies lost their heads. All 6 of them were skinned. Their gear and equipment were nowhere to be found. Now this isn't the first time Hiruzen has heard of this. When he was Sandaime before Minato succeeded him, was that he had heard disturbing reports on whatever mission Kushina goes to. That there are bodies that were skinned alive and left hanging in trees. Some even lost their heads and spinal cords. Who could do something like that so gruesome? Kushina is not like that. Whatever that did that was no man, or shinobi. Shinobi aren't that bloodthirsty unless you're a follower of Jashin. His Inuzuka had told him that whatever that was around the area where Kushina and Minato had died at, was no man or human being. You see, no one knew that Kushina apparently had friends on the other side. Every mission she goes to, she would have help from her friends, including her protector. Who were the 6 shinobi who got skinned by whoever did it? Where is Naruto? He'll send Inuzuka trackers to get Naruto's scent and look for him. Because if it wasn't Iwa that took him, then who did? Orochimaru could be a possible culprit, given how his once pupil left and betrayed the village out of spite in not becoming the 4th Hokage, and did this to spite Minato also, but Orochimaru was smart and crafty enough to not let himself be discovered or found. Unless he wants to be found. And it couldn't have been Kumo. If Naruto isn't found, he'll have to get Jiraiya to find him. With Danzo. So, she's dead. How unfortunate. And what of her son? Asked Danzo, looking at his minions. Lost Danzo-sama. The team that was supposed to retrieve Kushina Uzumaki never made it back, says a Root Anbu, with Danzo frowning. She may have killed them then. He says, still frowning. Not entirely accurate, sir. Something else may have killed them, because she was weak and didn't have the strength to fight all 6 Root Anbu back. His drone pointed out, with Danzo nodding, seeing that he had a point. If she didn't kill them, what did? He says with one narrowed eye. We are still investigating, sir. His root agent said. No need. If they are dead, then they are dead. For now we will remain hidden. We can't have Hiruzen keeping an eye on us and suspect that I sent those 6 Root Anbu after Kushina Uzumaki. For now, search for her son. I want all scouts in every part of the elemental nations and villages to find him and bring him to me. Danzo ordered as his agent nodded and went to go do as told. Such a shame that the Uzumaki boy is gone. Taken by the enemy, he assumes. He is aware that the boy is the new Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. The boy would have been a perfect weapon and root operative. With training and harnessing the Kyuubi's destructive power, Danzo could overthrow Hiruzen and rise to the top of being the 5th Hokage. His friends Kaharu and Homura will support him and keep him protected. Not to mention the plans he had. Should Minato's son does become the village's Jinchuriki, he could exploit it to the villagers to direct their full hate and anger on the boy. Now, with such plans thrown out the window, he can't do it now. Hopefully his scouts and spies in every village in the elemental nations will report sightings of the boy. And should he be sighted, he will send a strike team to retrieve the boy and bring him to Root HQ, where he will be conditioned and molded as a weapon. And will be his trump card to overthrow Hiruzen. So he will have to be patient. Yaujta Prime, 6 years later. On Yaujta Prime, Dragon, Artemis and Falcon are currently escorting Naruto to one of their chambers. To turn him just like them. The elder had told them. He will be turned when he's a much older age. 6 years seemed to be alright. Naruto's life with the predators were nice and easy going. All his life on this planet he had to learn their culture of hunting. Of course Naruto's rank in this world, he's a pup. And not trained yet. But once they transform him into one of them, they will start his training. Dragon was still an elite. His teammates Artemis and Falcon are blooded Yaujta. Since the two of them went on their first xenomorph hunting and successfully killed one and bared the mark, just like Dragon. As of right now, once Naruto is turned and his training is complete, he just may go out and kill his first xenomorph. As he reached the chambers, Naruto laid on the stretcher, with Artemis coming towards him while Falcon operated the computer. Begin the initiation device. Dragon says with Falcon operating the computer. Suddenly restraints strapped around Naruto's arms and legs for safety measures. The boy looked a bit nervous but kept a brave face, knowing this was the day he is worthy to be a Yaujta. Above him were needles as two of them injected themselves in both of his arms, in his vein area. Naruto grunted in pain when he felt the needles pierce him as they left after injecting something into him. What had injected him was Yaujta blood, as a mask was soon placed on Naruto's face. Naruto soon felt his eyes wide open when secret compartments inside the mask force opened his eyes as a bright light glowed in the mask, downloading information into the boy's brain. Naruto's DNA and blood was being mixed with Yaujta blood. Kyuubi's seal glowed faintly in response to this. He was given knowledge of ancient Yaujta writings and language so that he can understand it and speak it. Given knowledge of all Yaujta weaponry to use against their prey. And saw images of the xenomorphs clashing with Yaujtas. Naruto almost feels his brain is about to burn from the information being downloaded into his head. As he also saw a brief image of a clan of redheads with the predators. For 1 full hour the process was complete. Artemis remained at his side, as she took off her mask. Revealing her face, her mandibles and eyes, they were orange. She has the mark on her forehead. Falcon took off his mask, revealing his face and mandibles, revealing his eyes to be brown. He too carries the mark too, like Artemis. Dragon took his mask off, revealing his face, showing his red eyes, along with a scar on his cheek and the mark on his forehead. Now this isn't the first time Naruto had actually seen their faces. He saw their faces when he was 5 years old and didn't seem bothered, disturbed or frightened by their facial appearance. The straps came off Naruto. As the mask lifted off his face, all 3 predators stood over him, looking down at him. Naruto, can you hear us? Dragon asks. Yes, Dragon, the boy says while clutching his head in pain. You will be in temporary pain. Naruto, it will wear off later on. Artemis speaks. How do you feel? Falcon says. I feel good. He answers. Good. Now, Falcon, go inform the elder that Naruto has become one of us. Dragon commanded, seeing him nod and walk off. What is to become of me now, Dragon and Artemis? Since I'm becoming one of you? Naruto asks. We will train you, and teach you how to be a hunter so that you could prove your worth to the elder. We will also be teaching you everything we learned from your mother's homeworld. Dragon says. My mother? Naruto asks. Yes. Your mother, her name is Kushina Uzumaki. And her mate partner is Minato Namikaze, who is your father. Dragon replies. What happened to them? Why aren't they with me? The boy asks, with both predators exchanging glances at one another. Your mother and father were great warriors. Especially your mother. You see, they sealed a giant fox demon within you to save their village. But at the very cost sacrificed their lives to protect you. Your mother wanted me to fulfill her dying wish for me to take you with us and raise you on Yaujta Prime. Dragon replies with a solemn expression. Naruto looked down, now understanding what happened to his parents and that he has some sort of demon within him. We are more than happy to train you our ways, says Artemis. I'll gladly be a hunter like you guys. Naruto says, with both of them smiling. Come. It is time for you to rest, then tomorrow we go to the trophy room. I believe there is something I'd like to give you. Dragon would say, walking away with Naruto and Artemis. The next day, now at the trophy room, revealed a now Yaujta turned Naruto. His appearance reptilian-like, his whisker marks on his cheeks are darker and feral-like. His teeth animalistic with fangs. Except he had no mandibles like any typical predator. His blue eyes were gone, replaced with red eyes. His hair extended, instead of natural blonde hair color, it's been replaced with red hair. And that red hair is now in a dreadlock hairstyle. Dragon and Artemis along with Falcon led Naruto to the trophy room. Inside the trophy room were various items, along with those who are victims of the hunt. Human skulls, animal skulls, alien skulls, along with xenomorph skulls, weapons and items. Naruto looked in awe at the many trophies in the room. Follow me, Naruto, Dragon says with the boy following him. The two got to another location of the trophy room, and standing before the two was a suit of armor. The armor was silver with bladed gauntlets and claws, spikes on the shoulders, and a kabuto helmet. On the torso was an Uzumaki whirlpool insignia. Wicked. What is this, Dragon? Naruto asked. This armor belonged to one of your clansmen. He was a hunter also. He called himself Uzumaki Shredder. Explains Dragon. What happened to him? The boy asks with Dragon clenching his fists. He was betrayed by one of our own who became a bad blood. The bad blood are rogue Yaujta who do not follow our codes, tradition and rules. We found him wounded with fatal injuries. We couldn't save him, so we gave him a burial and took his armor with us. So that in the future if we had another Uzumaki. In which are your clan? Dragon explained with Naruto wide-eyed. A clan? I have a clan, Naruto asks with Dragon nodding. Yes. Your clan are the Uzumaki clan and are our allies. Dragon replied, telling the Uzumaki boy history of their Yaujtas and Uzumakis becoming an alliance. And tells the boy about his clan's fall. Naruto looks at the armor, picturing himself in that. He couldn't wait to modify it. By giving it an arsenal of weapons. Maybe make it like the Predator killer suit. He couldn't wait to have this armor. Since this armor is yours by right in your clan. But once you are done with your training from us, this armor is yours to do as you please. Dragon says. I can hardly wait. Naruto says, looking from the armor and look up at Dragon. Let's go. Today we start your training. You will be given basic weapons to start from, Dragon says as he and Naruto decided to leave from the trophy room. Once the training is over, the fox will have teeth and claws to go after his prey. 6 years later on Yaujta Prime, stood a armored 6-foot figure wearing silver armor with spikes all over it. Its arms has blades and spikes. Red dreadlocks, red eyes with slit pupils, whisker marks of that of a fox or cat that were darker and feral looking, the figure's skin reptilian with light reddish color. On in his right hand he held his mask that resembles a fox with red markings on it. On its forehead was the Uzumaki swirl insignia, but the mask was attached to a shiny metal helmet that was a kabuto helmet. A plasma canister now mounted on his left shoulder. His right arm has 15-inch double wrist blades, along with a net launcher and wrist gauntlet with the computer. On his left arm is a scimitar, a single arm blade much longer, 18 inches long. On his hips is a sheathed Yaujta katana sword. And on his leg is a jagged dagger. Who is this feral warrior? Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. Naruto had grown these past few years on Yaujta Prime and had been under the training of Dragon, Falcon and Artemis. For the past 6 years they were training the boy everything they knew on how to hunt. They prepared him for his first initiation hunt. And today is that day he will depart. He is to go on his first hunt so that he can be blooded. He is going with 3 other predators who are the same rank as him. A young blood. From the far side of him were Dragon, Artemis and Falcon. Are you prepared, Naruto? The elder and your team is waiting for you. Dragon would say, looking at Kushina's son whom he made as a warrior. Yeah, I'm ready, Dragon. Today's the day I'm ready to prove my worth as a hunter and to become blooded. Naruto answered. Then let's go, you have everything you need for this hunt. Artemis says with Naruto nodding. One more thing to take with you. Dragon says, handing Naruto his combo stick as Naruto accepted the weapon. Dragon. Why? This is yours. Naruto says, looking at his mentor. Take that with you. It could prove useful for your hunt, and for good luck. Dragon says, clicking his mandibles. As Naruto nodded as the four decided to go ahead and head for the mothership that the elder and his team were getting on. On board the mothership, he had said his goodbyes to his three mentors. And went to go find his teammates. In which he did. The first teammate was taller than the other two predators besides him. As the tall one glared at Naruto. So, the elder picked you. A half-breed to go with us on this hunt. Growled the first predator. His name is Celtic, who was in charge of the hunt and leader of his two brothers besides him. On his left is his brother Chopper and on his right is his other brother Scar. Yes, he has. I was assigned to go on my first hunt with you three. Hey Scar. Naruto says smiling at Scar waving at the predator. Scar and Naruto became friends when Naruto was undergoing his training with his mentors. Good seeing you too Naruto. Replied Scar. As Celtic snarled now getting in front of Naruto. Listen here human. I don't care if the elder has sent you with us, but know this. I'm in charge of this hunt. You will follow orders from me, don't expect special treatment from me or my brothers. Understand? Growled Celtic narrowing his eyes at Naruto who also glared back coldly. Scar stepped in between them. Celtic. Enough. He's our teammate. Scar says defending Naruto as Celtic growled lowly at his brother as he turned and walked off with Chopper following him. My apologies Naruto. Scar would say. None taken. Naruto would say. Scar sighed. Obvious that his brother is somewhat jealous of Naruto. Because Naruto received special training from one of the elite Yaochta's dragon. While he, Chopper and Celtic received no training, they are inexperienced hunters and this is their first hunt to prove themselves to the elites or elders or ancient elders to deem them worthy of being blooded. Celtic saw Naruto as a threat in stealing all the glory from him and his brothers. Because he got training from the elites. Naruto wasn't intimidated by Celtic whatsoever. And since Celtic is his leader for this hunt, he will have to follow commands from his superior. As their ship went into hyperspace they would go en route to their location to hunt. Earth, Antarctica. They had arrived to Earth. As the Yaochta mothership was in the sky of the cold weather, 4 pods were dropped on a different location. As they landed their hatches opened. The Wayland Industries expedition team had recently found the pyramid and went inside to explore it. Unaware of what they have awakened. Below the lower levels of the pyramid. Of what it seems like a throne room of some sorts opened a secret door beneath it revealing a frozen black-clad giant creature in chains. As the heat in the throne thawed the creature, waking it from its frozen slumber. On the surface, they made it into a deserted town. They noticed humans' badge already took residence to the sacred pyramid. Celtic ordered Scar and Chopper to rid of the humans while he and Naruto stayed behind. They could hear gun shooting knowing humans had such primitive weapons to attack them with. After the gun shooting was over, the human in red jacket ran before Chopper could kill him and picked up a pistol and shot Celtic. Whose cloak malfunctioned pissing him off. Naruto sighed, as he watched Celtic chase after the human in red coat who fell down the tunnel. After that, they uncloaked themselves. Let's move. Celtic growled. In the pyramid. The xenomorph queen fully awake and roared as she laid a dozen eggs from her sack, as they were being moved elsewhere. With Naruto. As they made it. Celtic, Chopper and Naruto ignored the man in red. While Scar gave the man a quick death with his wrist blades. Wayland team. The group had found another room and found a chest with what looked like a plasma canisters. Any idea what these are? Asked Miller. Unsure what they are, says Sebastian with Lex looking over his shoulder at the weird-looking things. We should take them, said another. I don't think it's a good idea, says Sebastian. Think we should take them Mr. Wayland, says Maxwell with the man nodding. As each expedition team member took each one with Sebastian protesting but they ignored him as they took the plasma canisters they triggered something. As the doors suddenly closed on them. Upwards on the higher level the next expedition team were not prepared for xenomorph eggs to appear from the sacrificial tables and hatched face huggers that latched to their faces. The pyramid entrance. Celtic saw a visual of the humans in the levels of the pyramid as he growled angrily that the humans were taking what was theirs. as he turned to the three of them. "Let's go," he growled, as all four of them cloaked themselves and went inside the pyramid to go hunt. Later on, they reached to where the plasma canisters were, only to find them gone. Celtic looked angry behind his mask. "Scar, take the next tunnel and find them. Chopper, you're with me. And you might as well come with me too," says Celtic, pointing at Naruto. "Acknowledged, brother," says Scar as he went left. While Naruto, Celtic and Chopper went the other way. The three followed the expedition team by setting one trap for one of them and took them. As loud gunfire happened when one of the humans saw Chopper, who threw his spear at one of them. As the shooting happened, Naruto was hidden, avoiding the gunfire, not wanting to be hit by them. As the tunnels and floors started rearranging, breaking the expedition team apart, separating them from each other. The three continued to pursue the others. As a little while later they would catch up with four humans. Maxwell was suddenly caught in a net by Celtic, who walked towards them with thundering steps. Lex tried to stop him, but he backhanded her away. Sebastian tried to stop him, but he was being manhandled by the tall predator. The net was cutting into Maxwell along with breaking his gun. Celtic pulled out his spear and stabbed Maxwell through his net, killing him. Lex tried to grab a pickaxe, only to be kicked by Chopper, sending her into a wall. Chopper towered her and brought out his long wrist blade to end her with, only to not expect something behind him. A sharp black tail suddenly impaled him as Chopper grunted in pain. Naruto, who was cloaked watching the whole thing, widened his eyes seeing one of his fellow hunters die. As Chopper was lifted up and met an alien that looked at him and killed the predator with its inner jaw. Celtic suddenly realized something happened as he turned and saw one of his brothers killed by the very things they were sent here to hunt. He dropped Sebastian and engaged after the creature that killed his brother. Naruto decided to intervene, only to hear hissing, and behind him was another xenomorph as it lunged at him. Naruto brought out his wrist blades and fought the creature. "All right, ugly, bring it on," Naruto says, beckoning the creature to come at him. One Piece Ost. Karakuri defense system activate. The xenomorph hissed and lunged at Naruto, clawing at him, who avoided it. Then ducked and weaved when the creature tried to stab Naruto with its tail. Only for Naruto to block it, and then sprinted up at the creature and kicked its face with brute force, sending it into a wall. Now heading into another room, he saw the creature get up and ran at him at all fours. Naruto turned on his plasma canister to shoot the creature, only for it to avoid the blast and wraps its tail around Naruto's legs and pulled him down as it pounced on Naruto, but Naruto rolled out of the way in time and recovered. The xenomorph snarled and tried to leap up fast on Naruto and sent its tail at Naruto. Naruto sideways avoided it and cut the tail off with his left scimitar blade extended as the xenomorph hissed in pain with its tail gone. Naruto looked down and saw his scimitar melted due to the xenomorph's acidic blood. The alien, enraged, pounced at Naruto. Naruto unsheathed his katana and charged at the creature's sword in hand. It swiped its claws at Naruto, who ducked and sliced off its arm along with cutting off its head. Naruto glanced down at the dead alien. As he took off his helmet and mask, he bent down and ripped off the alien's finger. He marked his mask, along with putting the mark on his forehead since he has killed his first xenomorph. He walked away to go after the humans. With Celtic, who is currently putting up a fight with the xenomorph, cutting off its tail with his wrist blades, which melted. As the creature sprayed acid everywhere that it got on his armor, he growled angrily and took it off, only to see the alien nowhere. He looked around. While above him, the alien waited for the right moment. It leapt on him in hopes of finally killing him. But unfortunately, Celtic also waited for the right moment and shot his net launcher at the alien, watching it fall in the ground in a skeleton-like chamber. Celtic dropped down after his prey and pulled out his knife, and lunged at the creature, stabbing it multiple times. As it screeched in pain, dying, Celtic felt proud. He actually did it. He is now worthy. Now all he had to do was mark himself with the mark. He took off his mask and cut off the alien's finger using its claw. Unbeknownst to Celtic was that above him was a face hugger, As he marked himself along with his mask, he turned around and out of nowhere the face hugger latched into his face. What were those things? Sebastian says out loud. You tell me, you're the pyramid expert. Lex replies as the two were helping Wayland and stopped at the stairs seeing that Wayland was in a coughing fit. I need to stop, rasped Wayland as he laid on the stairs. Wayland, look at me. You are not going to die here. You have to slow your breathing down. Lex protests as the man tried to slow his breathing down. I'm not going to let you die down here, she added. But you didn't. He replied back at her. There's another one, let's go. Sebastian says as they saw Scar make his appearance. Come on, Lex says, helping Wayland up with Sebastian also helping. Sebastian, take her. Get her out of here. Wayland says with them looking taken back by that. Go now, he yells seeing Scar make his way towards them. But the hunter was focused on Lex along with the weapon she has in her backpack. Sebastian and Lex makes a run for it while Wayland stayed behind with a pickaxe to fight Scar with. He tried to hit Scar with it only for the tall predator to catch his arm, disarming the weapon and then picking up the man looking at him with his mask, X-ray vision looking at the man's internal organs seeing that they look infected, which could mean that this man is ill. He drops Wayland knowing the code to not kill weak or ill humans. As Scar made his way up the stairs to go after the other two. Wayland however wasn't going to let Scar go after them as he grabbed a flare in his asthma can, making a makeshift flamethrower. Don't you turn your back on me. As he released jet flames on Scar, who looked unfazed but rather very angry as he turned around and growled, bringing out his wrist blades. Wayland showed a horrified expression knowing that he is about to kick the bucket. Scar impaled Wayland with his blades and then dropped the man who rolled down the stairs, now dead. As Scar continued his hunt after Lex and Sebastian, Naruto arrived at the scene as he saw Wayland's lifeless body, in which he could assume Scar did this. I pity you, old man, Naruto says as he went after Scar, knowing his friend is also after the other two humans. Sebastian was holding Lex as they reached into another corridor. Keep it together. We couldn't save him. Let's just go find our way out of here and make it to the surface, he says as they decided to now leave. Scar, who heard this, recorded it. He cannot allow them to make up the surface. Wait, Sebastian says as they looked down and noticed the floors were moving up. They quickly ran down the corridor. He helped Lex up into another closed corridor as he himself climbed up and crawled. As he nearly made it, Scar tossed a shuriken, but he missed Sebastian, who made it as the corridor was closed. Now in a whole different room they saw the shuriken. With Scar growling that he failed to stop them, he looked around to find a way to get them. He suddenly glanced to the left and saw a face hugger pounce at him as he tossed another shuriken, cutting it in half as it came back to him. Besides him, and Xenomorph made itself known and crawled down silently in order to catch Scar off guard. However, Scar knew it was there and quickly used his shuriken to slice open the Xenomorph's head. It stood still for a brief moment as half its face fell off as its body fell on the ground. He sheathed his weapon, looking down at both face hugger and Xenomorph he killed. Lex and Sebastian, look over here, she says as they peek at Scar. Seeing him unmask himself, they watch him rip off a face hugger's leg as he began marking his mask. Then marks his forehead. He's marking himself. Sebastian says, watching Scar. Ancient warriors would mark themselves after the kill, as a rite of passage, he explains. It's starting to make sense, he finished as he walked off with Lex following. With Scar now finished marking himself while unaware of another face hugger waiting to jump at his face. He stands up as the face hugger saw its chance, but before it could even latch onto Scar's face, it was shot by a blue bolt that killed it. Scar turned around and saw it was Naruto. Naruto, you've made it, Scar says, pleased that his friend is alive. Yeah, I did. By the way, you're welcome, Naruto says, with Scar looking down at the face hugger that was blasted to pieces. Scar noticed Naruto's mask was marked. So, you made your first hunt too. Where are my brothers? Scar asked. Chopper didn't make it. The serpents killed him. As for Celtic, I'm not sure if he's alive. He engaged with one too. Naruto explains with Scar growling lowly, seeing that they are the only two hunters left. With Celtic, the predator groaned lowly as he woke up groggily. As he tried to make use of his surroundings. Where is he? And what happened? He looked around. He tried to move, but for some reason, he couldn't. He noticed he was stuck in black resin. As he tried to break free. No, this was not supposed to happen. He is a marked hunter. It's too soon for him to die here now. He refuses to let Naruto get ahead of him. He was sure Scar may have had a chance to become a marked hunter like he is. He then noticed that there are eggs everywhere along with a few other human hosts. He growled as he began to put it all together. He is now a host for these serpents. If only he could reach his wrist computer and turn on the self-destruct bomb to destroy not only himself but the aliens, the pyramid, any surviving human. Even Scar and Naruto. He grunted in pain when he feels his chest feels like it's about to burst. He roared in pain, feeling the pain increase. And finally it busted out of his chest, revealing a green serpent with mandibles. As it hissed. Back with Lex and Sebastian. Sebastian is translating the walls, telling Lex on why these warriors were here. As he began reciting the story that was written on the wall. On how every 100 years these hunters would come to Earth, teaching humans on how to build. And were worshipped as gods. And when they did, they would expect a sacrifice. The humans were used to breed the ultimate prey. In which of course are the serpents. The hunters would battle these serpents to be worthy of carrying the mark. But if the hunters lost, they made sure nothing survived. An entire civilization wiped out overnight. So, those hunters come here to hunt? Lex asked. And we are used as cattle. Answered Sebastian. Once that door is open, we are dead. Sebastian says. Not if we set things right. Lex says with him raising a brow. What do you mean? He asked. This pyramid. This is like a prison. Those black things we saw are the prisoners. The hunters are the guards. And we took their guns. The prisoners ran free, and the only way to restore order is to give the guards their guns back. When that door opens, we gotta give it back its gun. Lex would say with Sebastian looking like she grew a second head. Are you crazy? We are in a big hunting game. We shouldn't arm the hunters. Sebastian protests. They are not hunting us. We are in the middle of a war. It's time to pick a side. She says while he disagrees. We are on our side. He says. We have to make a choice. Because either of us might not make it out of here alive. We have to make sure those serpents don't make it to the surface. Because if they do, everything and everywhere will die. Lex finishes with Sebastian thinking this over. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. He says, looking at her as his watch beeps and looks at the golden door, which didn't open, only to reveal another door opened. Let's go find our friend. Lex says. With Scar and Naruto. So, what's the plan now, Naruto? Asks Scar, looking at his fellow hunter. We find those humans and make peace with them. Naruto would suggest, with Scar looking at him. He could tell Scar had a look of disbelief behind his mask. Why should we? They took our plasma casters. That we need for this hunt. Scar growled. The humans weren't aware of that. They were just curious. They probably weren't aware that we came here to hunt. Look, we are the only two left. Chopper and Celtic weren't lucky. There's no telling how many more serpents we have to kill. I suggest we make peace with the remaining humans and get them to cooperate in working with us if we all want to get out of here. Naruto suggests, with Scar growling lowly, trying to see if he should consider this idea with Naruto. There are only two left. A male and female. The rest could have already been caught by the serpents to use to breed more of their kind. I suppose we could get the remaining two to cooperate with us. Scar says, having to agree with Naruto. They mentioned about getting out of here and making it up to the surface. Scar mentioned, with Naruto frowning behind his mask. Yeah, but we can't risk letting those serpents find a way up there too. We have to bomb this place to ensure nothing survives. Naruto says, with Scar nodding. Let's go find our humans, Scar. Naruto says as both he and Scar decide to track and find the humans before the serpents do. With Lex and Sebastian. now in a whole different corridor with flashlights or walking down towards it in hopes of looking for their friend. They shift the light to the other side and noticed slime along with a tail. Out of nowhere a xenomorph hissed at them. Move! Sebastian yelled as both he and Lex ran. They ran out of the hall going to cross the bridge only to see it half broken. Their only chance was to jump across it. Sebastian made the first jump as he made it. Lex followed him but caught the ledge as parts of it fell apart. Lex was sure she was going to fall to her death, but Sebastian caught her hand just in time and pulled her up. Come on, Lex. I got you, he says as she looked up at him only for her blood to freeze and widen in horror seeing an xenomorph next to Sebastian as it grabbed him as he screamed, being dragged away, leaving Lex all by herself as she climbed up. Now all alone she bent down and got Sebastian's bottle cap. Clenching it as she moved on, now all alone. Hopefully she'll run into the hunters. She took a long walk in the dark hall looking around her surroundings as she stopped at a dead end, checking her watch seeing it cracked. She looks around scared, hoping those serpents aren't around to get the drop on her. She paused feeling as if someone was behind her. She slowly turned around and saw Scar and Naruto behind her. Greetings, human, Naruto says, catching Lex off guard that one of them can speak English. While Scar looked around for the male human only to find him not with her. Which could mean the serpents took him. You can talk, she says with him nodding. Of course. I believe you have something that belongs to my friend Scar here. Naruto says, pointing to Scar, who growled lowly. Lex stood there in shock as she looked from Naruto into Scar. She knew now it was time to give what was taken. She reached into her back and took off her backpack and slid it over to Scar, who looked down towards it. As she did, she gasped, seeing 3 serpents behind the 2. Scar and Naruto turned around when they heard hissing, and behind them were 3 serpents who attacked the 2. Scar attempted to kill one with his combo stick, but the creature knocked it out of his hand as it slid away. So he brought out his wrist claws to fight it. Naruto was dealing with one using Dragon's combo stick, landing some blows on the creature. The third one focused its attention on Lex, who flinched seeing it look at her. She fell on her in fear. She looked around for something to protect her with. She saw Scar's combo stick and grabbed it. The alien lunged at her as she jousted it in the air as the creature was impaled and sent its tail at her but was missing, but she was also dodging and weaving. She looked terrified seeing it up close to her, hissing and sway its tail wildly. It leaned its head and attempted to kill her with its inner jaw, but it died the moment it had a chance as she still had a terror-stricken face. Naruto impaled another serpent through the head, killing it, while Scar cut open its stomach with his wrist claws, making its guts fall out along with acidic blood. Scar put on his plasma caster. Naruto looked around and saw more serpents at the end of the hall. Both he and Scar turned on their plasma casters and started shooting. Some of the xenomorphs started dodging while some actually got shot and died. While one of them was trying to think of a way to get to the hunters and human. The queen, who was in her chamber, still gave out a loud roar and screech, calling all of her drones and new xenomorph. The xenomorphs who heard their queen decided to retreat and head back to their queen mother. Seeing that they are gone for the moment, Naruto looks towards Scar as Lex looked from the 2 of them. Scar retrieved his combo stick from the dead xenomorph Lex had killed. Scar, I believe we should arm the human. What is your name, by the way? Naruto asks, with his friend grunting, and went over to the xenomorph and pulled out his knife. Okay, Alexa. My name is Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. The Fox Shredder. You already met Scar. I believe you now know why we are here, correct? Naruto says with Lex nodding. Yes, my friend told me about you hunters who hunt after those black serpents and use us like cattle to breed them. She answered. Ah, I see your friend did his homework. I'd like to apologize for how me and my friends had killed half your people. You see, this was our hunting ground and first trial to be marked. Naruto says as Lex looks at Scar cutting the face off the whole head of the xenomorph, removing it from its skull. What is he doing? Lex asks, watching Scar. He's making you a shield. Naruto answered as Scar ripped off the xenomorph's finger and held it above the xenomorph's head and dripped acid on it. Seeing that acid won't melt its skin or head, then dripped some on the ground, making a hissing sound and melt the ground with smoke steaming it. The blood is acidic, Lex muttered, as Scar used his knife to cut off a tail blade of the xenomorph and grabbed a staff from a nearby statue and wrapped the sharp end on the tip. This will be your shield and spear. Since you killed one serpent, you're one of us now, Naruto says as she put on the shield and held the spear. So what now? She asks. We work together and get out of here. First we need to confirm our suspicions if there is a nest here, and if there is one we have to bomb it, Naruto replied. So let's go, Naruto says as he, Scar and Lex ran down the hall. The Queen's chamber. All 8 of her xenomorphs appeared along with a much bigger one with dreadlocks as it hissed, looking down at the drones. Release me from my prison, children. The Queen hissed mentally towards her 8 children, including the Predallion, who is like her elite bodyguard, hissed out orders on freeing their Queen Mother by jumping on this contraption the Predators put on her by biting into her with their inner jaws, spraying acid on the chains that held her along with the shackles. Back with Naruto and company. They 3 were in another area while Scar knelt down and noticed slime on the floor. Naruto and Lex went into another corridor and noticed it was covered in resin-like substance. It was then Lex had found Miller's camera and called out his name. As she went inside the room and saw eggs that were already opened. Naruto followed her in and noticed that this is a nesting ground. Lex turned to the right and found Miller, who looked dead as she noticed his stomach was burst out open, along with a gun and dead face hugger. She picked it up since it was covered in slime. As she continued to look around, same with Naruto. She gasped when she found Sebastian. Sebastian, she says. Help me, Lex. He says weakly. I'm going to get you out of there, she says with urgency. It's too late. It's inside of me. As she tried to find a way to cut him free, Scar appeared as she noticed the red dots and turned to him. No, I have to help him, she says with Scar looking at Sebastian and turned on his X-ray with his mask and saw a xenomorph serpent inside him, an infant. And it looks ready to pop out. Lex, they mustn't reach the surface, he yelled out, straining. I know, she says, pulling out the gun she found and aimed at her friend. Do it, Lex, he moaned out, knowing that he can't be saved. I'm sorry. And with that she shot him with the gun, killing him. Seeing she used its last round and dropped the gun, walking off. Scar watched the infant xenomorph pop out of Sebastian's body, but he caught it and snapped its neck. Naruto was in another part of the room investigating. He looked around, and as he looked from his left and widened his eyes behind his mask, what he saw was Celtic's body on the wall, with his stomach bust wide open. Oh shit, Naruto says. Scar, you might want to come look at this, Naruto called out. Scar has appeared along with Lex. They both saw the body of Celtic. Scar looked angered that his brother became a host, and that there is an abomination with their genes running around this pyramid. Queen's chamber. She had finally broke free from her shackles and chains along with her egg sac. She broke free from her last chain as her xenomorphs ran forward along with the Predallion as she followed them, making giant steps. Naruto and company. Naruto, Lex and Scar all perked up their heads after hearing that loud noise erupt in the pyramid. Both Scar and Naruto looked around and saw more eggs that haven't been hatched. Both looked at one another and nodded and cut off Celtic's arm, with his wrist computer on it. Scar operated it. What's he doing? Lex asked. That is a bomb. We are arming it. It's going to blow this place up into a crater, to ensure nothing survives, Naruto explains with Lex glaring at the nest. I hope it kills every one of them, she growls as Scar armed the bomb from his brother's arm and tossed it in the center of the nest. The 3 suddenly started running like they never ran before. The wrist bomb started beeping in countdown sequence. Pyramid entrance. The 3 made it out the pyramid and ran as they reached a sled, and noticed it was slime on it. Lex quickly said in the code for it. Another xenomorph came out of nowhere and jumped at Scar, knocking his plasma caster off of him. Naruto looked around and saw another charge at him. He pulled out his katana and fought it. Its tail then impaled Scar's shoulder, causing him to growl. Lex found the nail gun and picked it up, aiming at the xenomorph on Scar. "You are one ugly." She shot its head off as Scar knocked it off of him. Naruto sliced his in half. The others saw more xenomorphs appear and the sled was getting ready to go. The three quickly got on. The xenomorph tried to stop them but failed. The bomb had set off and glowed a blue light, blowing up the nesting ground, the pyramid, and any surviving xenomorph. Naruto and Kohu were on the sled, flew off out the tunnel and instantly got off running, still as they watched it engulf in flames, but the explosion erected an avalanche, destroying the small village and everything around them. The three kept running until they made it to the edge, seeing that they almost lost their footing. They got up and turned around, looking at the destruction before them. The entire area was bombed. As the two turned towards Lex, Naruto was the first to unmask himself, while Scar was second. Lex was surprised that Naruto looked different from Scar. Scar had mandibles while he didn't. "You, Lex, have earned our respect," Scar says, pulling out a xenomorph finger he kept. Lex began to realize what was going to happen as she glanced at both marks on Scar and Naruto on their foreheads and masks. Scar had marked Lex's left cheek. "We accept you as one of us now," Naruto says. Before the three of them could do anything, they heard a tremor and looked to the left, seeing the queen xenomorph burst out of the ground, surprising the three. "This is it. Let's finish this," Naruto says, pulling out his katana while the three stepped back, seeing the queen march towards them. Scar made the first blow by shooting both his wrist blades into her chest. As he pulled out his shuriken and tossed it at her neck, making her scream in pain, then tossed it again at her crown head. Before he could catch it, she knocked him back with her tail, sending him flying. He tried to get up, but she knocked him back down and readied her tail to finish him. Lex lunged at the queen while Naruto turned on his plasma caster, aiming for the queen. Suddenly behind him, the Predallion made its appearance and struck Naruto's plasma caster with its tail, destroying the weapon. Naruto turned around in shock, seeing the Predallion focus its attention on him. Lex impaled the queen's neck with her spear. As the queen backed away, trying to take the spear out her neck, as it fell in a shed, Lex saw her jacket burn from the acid blood as she ran off. As the queen chased after her, Naruto is currently fighting the Predallion, who was sending its tail at him, who dodged and weaved, but the Predallion roared and did a tackle charge at Naruto, forcing him on the ground. Naruto kicked the beast off him as it hissed savagely and opened its mouth to spit acid at Naruto, who evaded it. Naruto pulled out a storage scroll seal from his wrist and brought out a shuriken and tossed it at the Predallion, who ducked and dodged swiftly as it lunged at Naruto. Naruto, however, shot a net from his net launcher at the creature, trapping it. He raised his katana ready to stab it, only for the creature to break free using its brute strength, and slapped its tail against Naruto, sending him flying and dropping his sword. The beast crawled after Naruto, who recovered and pulled out a combo stick that dragon had given him. The creature sent its tail to stab Naruto, who rolled out of the way and got up, charged at the creature, hitting it with the combo stick, landing some blows on the monster. As it roared and then swiped its claws across Naruto's armor, leaving claw markings on it. Naruto then tripped it with the combo stick, knocking it on its feet, and was going to deliver a stabbing blow on the creature, but the creature was much faster and did the blow first. Its tail went through Naruto's left shoulder, wounding him. The creature then got up and grabbed Naruto's face and opened its mouth to end him with its inner jaw. But Naruto impaled the creature's stomach with dragon's combo stick as it roared in pain, dropping the boy. Naruto ran to the side and grabbed his sword, seeing the beast pull the combo stick out of itself and now feels enraged. The two stared at each other. Naruto glared at it, pointing his sword at it, while the beast itself growled and snarled at Naruto. "Come on. Come at me, you abomination," Naruto taunted, seeing the creature hiss and lunge forward with its tail out, ready to joust it at Naruto. But Naruto moved from the side and attempted to cut it with his sword, but the creature backhanded him and charged at him as it roared. Naruto got up, looking at the monster, who charged at him again to finish him. It prepared its tail again, but this time Naruto had a faster reaction. He reached into his belt and pulled out smoke pellets and tossed them on the ground. The creature paused its movements looking for Naruto around in the smoke. The creature hissed. The smoke cleared and Naruto was nowhere to be seen. The creature growled looking for its prey. Popping out of the ground, Naruto impaled his sword under the creature's jaw through its head. The beast roared in pain and tried to stab Naruto with its tail in one final attempt, but Naruto had his wrist blades out and stabbed the creature, cutting open its guts. He backed away, moving away from the dying creature, who hissed lowly in a death rattle and fell limp dead with acidic blood pouring from its stomach and mouth. Seeing that the beast is dead, Naruto grabbed his combo stick and sheathed his sword as he ran to go help Lex and Scar fight the queen. Lex was underneath a water tower as the queen tried to get her. It pushed the water tower slightly as it attempted to use its inner jaw to get Lex, but it failed. Leaping in the air was both Naruto and Scar. With both their combi sticks, Scar impaled the side of the queen's head with his, while Naruto got on the queen's head as she tried to knock him off of her. He held the combo stick high and impaled it through her head. She, screeching loudly, she was dying, looked at the three in front of her as she stepped forward trying to make an attempt in killing the three. Scar pulled out another shuriken and tossed it at the queen, cutting off one of her little arms as she screeched loud. Naruto charged at her and cut deeply into her chest down to her stomach. As acidic blood seeped a lot, Lex stood there and watched the two fight this giant monstrosity. The queen slumped forward, falling on the ground dead since her injuries were way too fatal and that she couldn't fight anymore. The hunters had bested her. She gave out one last painful hiss before death took her. "Is it dead?" asked Lex. "Yeah, it's dead," Naruto says, looking at the dead queen as he went over and dragged the Predalian's body and put it next to the queen as Scar looked baffled at the abomination. "You fought that?" he asked, with Naruto nodding. "Yeah. The son of a bitch was tough and put up a hell of a fight," Naruto says, glaring at the abomination. "You two have done well," said a voice as both Scar and Naruto whipped around, and out of nowhere the ancient elder predator uncloaked himself along with a few other predators along with their mothership. Lex herself was shocked at what was before her. The ancient elder looked from Naruto, Scar and Lex. He saw all three of them bear the mark. The predators all came towards the dead queen and dead Predalian. "You three are worthy to become great hunters. To see the three of you fight a serpent queen and abomination, have earned my respect. Naruto, go ahead and claim your trophy in killing the abomination. You, Scar, and this human before me will share the trophy of killing the queen serpent. Since you all did teamwork," the elder says as Naruto and Scar bowed their heads in respect. Naruto had cut off the Predalian's head, taking its skull with him, while the predators cut off the queen's head to take on their ship. "Come, a celebration awaits for you at home, along with your gifts," the elder says with his men getting back on the ship. Scar looks towards Lex. "Come with us, Lex. Join us in being a hunter like us. You have potential to become great huntress," he says as she looks taken back by this as she looked from him to Naruto, who smiled at her. "You might as well join us. The elder considers you one of us," Naruto would say. Lex was thinking, should she leave Earth and join these predators? All her friends here on this expedition are dead and she might as well accept this. "All right, I'll accept join," she says, not in a position to say no. The group boarded on the ship and took off, heading back to Yaujta Prime. Having returned to the home planet of all Yaujtas, they reached to the throne room of the Elder Dragon. Artemis and Falcon were present and were proud of Naruto. Naruto and Scar bowed to the Elder, as did Lex. She was quite fascinated by this planet and its culture, along with its civilization. On Earth she never thought aliens actually existed until now, especially after she met the predators and serpents. Sebastian would have loved this if he was alive. It was then the elder began to speak. As said, "You two have done well in your first trial as a hunter. I'm more surprised that a human has joined up with you and helped take down the Serpent Queen, in which earned my respect. Tell us your name, female human," the elder says, looking towards Lex while she hesitated for a bit and then answered. "My name is Alexa Woods," Lex introduced, looking at the elder predator who had his eyes on her. "Alexa, You have shown bravery and courage in helping these hunters. Besides you, we welcome you to Yaujta Prime as a member and future huntress. We are honored to have you as a potential huntress. He would say, now looking towards Scar and Naruto. Scar, you have done well. I'm sure your brothers would have been very proud of you. It's unfortunate that neither of them didn't survive the trial. You along with your fellow hunter Naruto are now official hunters. You both will earn plasma casters. My next gift for you, Scar, is this. The elder tossed him his ancient combo stick as Scar caught it. I am most grateful, Scar would say, looking at the weapon in his hand. As the elder finally turned to Naruto. You are worthy, Naruto. You've showed promise to be a great hunter. It seems Dragon and his students trained you well. My gift to you is a ship of your own for you to return to your birthplace. Along with having your own crew on your ship. The elder says, with Naruto feeling most grateful. As he thought about returning to his birth planet. Since Dragon have told him all about it. Which would be a great place to have for a hunting ground. Maybe some great trophies. You all are dismissed. The elder says with the bowing to him in thanks again. With Naruto now in his room, he mounted the Predallion skull on his wall. His first trophy. Smiling in pride, he has a ship of his own and could have crew members of his own. He would have Scar join with him to his birth planet. But Scar told him that he's gonna stay with Lex for her to be turned into a predator, along with her training as a potential huntress. Maybe once her training is complete, Scar and her just may catch up with Naruto. Wolf, who is an elite, is overseeing Alex's training, who is an elite predator like Dragon. He's mentoring both Scar and Lex. Naruto met Wolf before and also learned a bit from him as well. Wolf is the lone wolf kind of predator who works alone and can handle serpents mercilessly. He's never taken any apprentices or students because he works alone and never needed help from his fellow hunters. Many Yaujtas on Prime respects him. Even Dragon respects him. And predators until this day, young blood or unblooded, strives to be just like him. I must say, that is a wonderful trophy. A voice as Naruto turned around and saw it was Artemis, who looked like she was smiling. Yeah, it is. Hard to believe that's what a half-breed Yaujta and serpent would look like. Naruto says, looking at the skull of his prey. Dragon, Falcon and I are very proud of you, Naruto. When are you going to visit your birth planet? She would ask, seeing him frown. Perhaps in a few days. Going to update my armor along with adding some modifications to my arsenal. Naruto says, mind if I tag along? Artemis asked. Of course. He says with a smile while she too smiles. Happy that he made all three of his teachers proud. Now he can go out and hunt on his home planet and see what kind of trophies he'll earn. Since the Predallion is his first trophy. The next day, now the crafting chamber. Modifying and upgrading his shredder armor. He fixed the armor and did some repairs. He reinforced it with new ore and material. The arms has more blades and spikes. For the right arm he installed new double wrist blades. Extended longer. For the gauntlet he added extra nets for the net launcher. Pulling out of the fire was a long chain with the end of it was a spear-like blade. Putting it into the water, cooling it off, and then installed it in his right gauntlet. He crafted a harpoon. For him to use for grappling and hunting his future prey. Now for the left arm and gauntlet. He added a single wrist blade extended, which is called a wrist scythe. Plugging 2 cords to the gauntlet. He made a built-in plasma reactor for the right wrist gauntlet. In doing so he can imbue his wrist scythe in plasma energy. If he wants to, he would add another weapon to his gauntlet. Reaching into his storage scroll he pulled out a serpent xenomorph tail that he kept. When he killed his first xenomorph, he took the tail hoping to make something out of it. He had intended on making it a whip, and so he did. But instead of making a handle for it he added the whip to his left gauntlet, thus making him a brand new weapon. He called it the Plasma Rod Whip. He then added his new plasma canister on his left shoulder of his armor. Along with 2 other weapons, 2 plasma handheld, customized them as pistols. In which he learned from Wolf. He made 2 plasma pistols. Now finished he looked at his new and improved armor. In which he calls the Super Shredder Armor. He sharpened his katana, his dagger, and his combo stick dragon had given him as a gift. He has 4 shurikens, dissolving liquid, 2 smart discs, bear traps, extra nets for his net launcher, and several extra wrist blades for him to use as replacements should his current ones get damaged. A power punch glove. All these equipment and weapons have been added to his arsenal. His armor is finished and he has everything he needs for his trip to his home planet. I hear that you are making preparations for returning to your home planet. Dragon says, now walking in, seeing his ward's son getting ready. Yeah, I'm going to go there and see what prized prey is there for me to hunt. Naruto answers. Artemis is going with you. She wishes to accompany you on your hunt. Falcon also wishes to join you. Dragon says. Neat, the more the merrier to come with me. Are you coming? He asked his mentor. I can't accompany you at this moment. I'm needed here to train other pups and unblooded Yaujtas. But when the time comes, I'll be on my way to your home planet to see you. Both Artemis and Falcon knows where your home is and will guide you there. Along with your crew mates. Dragon replies. I'm sure going to miss being here. Naruto says, remembering his times and days here on Yaujta Prime. Being raised by Dragon, Artemis and Falcon. Thank you, Dragon, for raising me and teaching me on how to be a hunter. Naruto says with the predator smiling. You are most welcome, Naruto. Dragon would say, looking at his protege. The next few days. Now at the ship port. Dragon led Naruto, Falcon and Artemis to his ship. Naruto smiled at his ship. The elder given him his own ship. And speaking of the elder, he was there to see Naruto off. But the elder wasn't the only one there. Wolf was also there, including Scar and a now Yaujta turned Lex. With her hair in dreadlocks, though she does not have mandibles, but under the same look Naruto is. As she wore scanty armor standing beside Scar. He too wanted to see Naruto off. Besides the group are 3 other Yaujtas. 2 male ones and a female one. Welcome to your ship, Naruto. I'd like to introduce you to your crew. The elder would say with Naruto turning to the 3 before him. The first one wore a gray mask with tribal orange-colored markings. Its skin was yellowish. Fishnet armor for the top with gray armor for its legs and feet. Its arsenal, double war axes, a plasma caster on its left shoulder. A spear, a combo stick, a wrist blade that's 13 inches long, and harpoon launcher. Greetings. I am Onslaught. Onslaught introduced. The second male predator next to Onslaught wore a yellow mask with black claw markings on it. A smart disc on his hip. He wore a tiger-like pelt on his waist and torso. On each leg he has sheathed jagged daggers. And a spear. His skin a darker shade of yellow. His right arm and left he bore double wrist blades. A pleasure meeting you. I am Sabretooth. Sabretooth greeted. The female, she wore armor gray colored and her skin is orangish colored. She wore a gray mask with dark lens. She has a spear, a knife and smart disc. With just a single wrist blade on her left arm. My name is Naira, she says looking at Naruto. These are your crew members and your own team of hunters. I can see that dragon students are accompanying you. The elder replied with Naruto nodding. Good luck, pup, says Wolf looking Naruto. We will catch up with you someday, Naruto. Scar would say. See you soon, Naruto. Lex says. Thank you guys. It's been an honor learning from you. I'm very thankful, he would say as they all smiled. We are more honored to have you a part of our clan and race. You are welcome here anytime. If you ever need help, we will be there to help you. The elder would say with Naruto nodded in understanding. Naruto smiled as him, Artemis, Falcon and their crew got on Naruto's ship and began to take off. Dragon remained while everyone else had left. I hope you are proud, Kushina. I have fulfilled your promise. Now he is coming back to his birth planet. Thought Dragon. As they left orbit, Naruto and his crew set the ship for hyperspace and left. En route to Earth. To the elemental nations. Look out, elemental nations. The Uzumaki hunter is coming home and will be hunting his prey. Coming out of hyperspace was Naruto's ship. As it was making a beeline for the elemental nations. Naruto was sitting on his chair as Falcon, Artemis and his crew are operating the ship. We are almost there. Naruto, where do you want to land at? Asked Falcon. As they are now in orbit. Naruto walked over and looked at the Navi map. As Naruto pointed, take as their Falcon. Naruto commanded as his fellow teacher and friend nodded and directed the ship to that location as their ship cloaked. As they landed somewhere secluded and out of sight, the door opened revealing Naruto in his armor and gear along with wearing his mask. Besides him are Falcon, Artemis, Onslaught, Sabretooth and Naira. They looked around their surroundings seeing that they are in a forest of some sorts. Let's go check my home world out and see what prey can I find that is worthy to be my trophy. Naruto says as they walked forward and suddenly cloaked themselves going invisible. They went on into the forest cloaked and unseen, with Naruto leading the way. It was until they heard voices from a distance. Let my mom go, cried a little boy who was being manhandled by a taller man with a knife to his throat. Shut up you little shit. Spat a thug as two other thugs had the boy's mother. Everything is going to be okay. Inari-kun. Be strong. It's what your father would have wanted for us. Says the woman named Tsunami who kept a brave face while looking at the thugs who were leering at her. Thugs that had worked for Gato. Who has raided Wave Country and is taking it over. Yet Wave isn't completely his until he gets rid of the bridge builder named Tazuna who is out getting help from Konoha at this point. Let's have a little fun with her before we hand her over to Gato. Says another thug with the other three agreeing. No, no, get away from her. Inari cried trying to break free from the thug. Kill the brat, says the lead thug. The thug raised his knife prepared to end Inari's life who had his eyes closed in fear knowing he's about to die as tears shed. Tsunami could only cry seeing that she is about to get raped and watch her own son die. Someone please help. Kami please help me and my son. She pleaded in thought. And as if Kami had answered her prayers. 3 red dots were aimed on the thug holding down Inari who was curious on what that red light was. Looking up, a blue blast out of nowhere struck the thug in the head blowing it clean off. Much to the shock of those who saw what happened. Inari moved away from the dead body. What the was that? Screamed a thug. Until an arrow hit his eye going through his head killing him in the process. Tsunami ran to her son and held him while she was frozen from fear. The remaining 2 thugs looked around frantically in the bushes wondering what was attacking them. Suddenly a harpoon darted out and yanked the other thug in the bushes as he screamed only to be silenced after you hear a loud thunk sound. The lead thug looked terrified. Where are you? Show yourself. He screamed in terror. Only to get his answer as his eyes were wide with fear when he saw an invisible figure charge at him with blades out and then took him in the bushes and gutted him as he screamed. Both Tsunami and Inari were frozen in fear and shook vividly holding onto each other in embrace. The invisible figure walked out of the bushes after killing the lead thug and looked at Tsunami and Inari. Naruto uncloaked himself, which surprised the mother and son. Then they heard the bushes rustle and notice 5 other invisible figures walk out and make themselves known to them. All tall, with dreadlocks, wearing armor and masks. Are you going to hurt us? Asked Inari scared a little bit as he noticed Naruto turn towards him. No. That is not our intention. My name is Uzumaki Shredder. I come in peace. Naruto says looking at the boy and his mother. Thank you for saving us Shredder. Tsunami thanked. Onslaught, Sabretooth, Falcon, dispose of the bodies here. Naruto commanded as the 3 grunted inhumanly that it surprised the 2. The 3 soon took the bodies and began to skin them and hang their bodies up the trees. Naruto and his group turned away walked into the bushes going invisible. Tsunami and Inari watched their retreating forms. Inari suddenly felt relieved that they were saved. Uzumaki Shredder is his hero now. Wait till his grandpa hears this when he comes back. The 2 decided to get up and leave before more of Gato's thugs look for them. Unbeknownst to the 2, Naruto and his group are going to follow them. Wave Village. Naruto and County had followed Tsunami and Inari to their villages. Both Tsunami and Inari that she was saved by some unknown masked strangers. Naruto and his team were cloaked listening and recording their conversation. Thank Kami you are safe. Tsunami. There would have been no telling what Gato's thugs would have done to you or the man himself would have had you, says a female villager. Did you get the stranger's name who saved you? Asked a bar owner who's a friend of Tazuna. The one who saved me and Inari was named Uzumaki Shredder, she answered with many gasping and murmuring. If he saved you, Tazuna should be looking for someone like him. Says a worker that works for Tazuna. I doubt Shredder would help us. I don't even know where he is to begin with. Tsunami says with downcast. Tazuna better hurry up with some shinobi team from Konoha to help us with our problem. Says another worker with the rest agreeing. Naruto who hears the entire conversation with Artemis besides him. What do you make of this? She says in a low whisper towards him. As they watch the crowd of villagers disperse and go back to what they were doing. They are in need of help. These thugs who work for this Gato is the one threatening them. Naruto replied back looking at one villager that was suspiciously walking off. Sabretooth. Apprehend that one alive. Naruto commanded with Sabretooth nodding and followed the villager. Must report this to Gato-sama. Says the villager, who is a thug in secret to keep watch of the villagers of Wave. As he went into the bushes only to be snatched up and was silenced. They went elsewhere with the man. The man was scared shitless seeing the tall masked figures. Uzumaki Shredder took a step towards him. You work for this Gato. Do you? He asks. What's it to you? The spy asked. Because you are going to tell us where are all the other thugs here. Shredder's mask eyes glowed green as he brought out his wrist blades. Wait, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. He began to spill terrified of his life. He spilled all sorts of thug locations to Naruto and his group. Thank you for informing us. Kill him. Naruto commanded as Falcon impaled the man with his wrist blades. What's the plan? Artemis asked. We are going hunting. Naruto says. A half-week later. Tazuna had arrived with Team 7. As they made it to Wave Village, Tazuna noticed a big change in his village. The people were smiling and are in a good mood. Why was that? What's going on? Tazuna asked as he noticed his grandson is talking with other kids. I'm telling you, it's them. They are the ones doing this. Inari says with glee. Yeah, I heard my pops say that couple of Gato's goons have mysteriously gone missing and killed. Says another boy. Did you hear that roar though? It sounded so beast-like and intimidating. Plus we heard screams. Screams that came from Gato's thugs. Chimes another boy. Inari. Tazuna spoke out seeing his grandson turn to him with a smile and run to him with a hug. Grandpa, you're back. You won't believe what's been happening here in the village. We are being protected by guardian angels. Inari says with a smile with Tazuna and Team 7 looking confused. What do you mean? What's happened? The old man asked. Come home. Mom is waiting for you. She'll tell you. He says eagerly as he went home with his grandpa and Team 7 following them. Kakashi looked around as he followed them. But kept his focus in the trees. Kakashi-sensei, what's wrong? Asked Sakura, wondering what's keeping him. As Sai and Sasuke followed Tazuna and Inari. It's nothing, Sakura. Can't help but feel that we are being watched. Kakashi says as he walked. In the trees far away and cloaked, Naruto watched Team 7 and Tazuna. As he decides to follow them. Naruto true enough followed Team 7 and Tazuna, while cloaked and unseen. Following them with such stealth and swiftness. He saw Team 7 and Tazuna walk into the house with Inari. As Naruto jumped down from the tree branch he was perched on and quietly went to the window to listen. Dad, I'm glad you're home. I'm sure you've heard of the news. Tsunami exclaimed seeing him look confused. No, I have not. I've just got here, and what's this about guardian angels here in the village? What's been going on since I left? Tazuna asked as Tsunami smiled. Tell him, Mom. Tell him about Uzumaki Shredder and his warriors who saved us. Inari cheered, making Tazuna and Team 7 frown at the name. Suddenly Kakashi raised an eyebrow and frowned. Uzumaki Shredder. I thought Kushina was the last Uzumaki living. He thought as he recalled how Minato-sensei's son had disappeared that night of his birth from the Sandaime and that Naruto was missing or in this case is presumably dead or killed by enemy shinobi who held grudges against Minato and Kushina. Plus he seemed to recall Kushina was the last Uzumaki after her village had fallen. He would have to report this to the Sandaime. Uzumaki who? Asked Sakura, who tilted her head in confusion at that name. Yeah, who is he? Asked Tazuna as Tsunami began telling them the story of how her and Inari were cornered by Gato's thugs and that they attempted to rape her and kill Inari, which horrified Tazuna that those bastards tried to touch his daughter only to be relieved that she was saved by this Uzumaki shredder person, and few others like him, as she gave a description on what they looked like. After that, it was almost as if Kami had answered our prayers for help that Uzumaki Shredder and his group of masked warriors are killing off Gato's thugs lately. Tsunami says with a smile. Wishing she could see her savior again and see what he looks like under that mask. Interesting. So where is he? Kakashi cut in. That's the thing. We don't know where he is. It's almost as if he's like a ghost that wants to appear or not. Answered Tsunami with a shrug. With many frowning. Well, that's good news. But we have bad news. Kakashi says, making Tsunami and Inari turn to him. What do you mean? She asked. Apparently, Zabuza is still alive. That hunter Nin with him was his accomplice. We may have to stay sharp. Kakashi warns. Who is that? Inari asked. Zabuza is a member of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist. And it seems that Gato has hired him to kill Tazuna. Kakashi replied. Naruto, who was outside listening, frowned as he heard of this Zabuza. It seems he will need to interrogate another thug to see who is this Zabuza. Well team, rest up and unpack. We got plenty of work to do. I'm going to see if I can call for backup. Kakashi says. Backup? I'm sure Uzumaki Shredder can help. Inari chimes in. I don't know. We never seen or heard of this Uzumaki Shredder before. We don't know if he's friend or foe. Kakashi says, walking out the door. Kakashi summoned Pakun. Naruto was now in the trees. What's up, Kakashi? Pakun says. I'm going to write a letter to Hokage-sama that we are in need of backup. Zabuza is still alive and, he says, but noticed Pakun get a whiff in the air. What's wrong? He asked. I smell blood. The dog answered as he led the way with Kakashi following him. Once they got there, Kakashi looked up and saw blood dripping from the trees. He leapt up there to get a look with Pakun following him. As he got to the top, his eye widened and his expression turned green at the sight before him. He found 4 skinned bodies, with no heads or spinal cords. Oh my Kami, not this again. He muttered, still looking green. As he recalled this, he remembers going on a mission with Kushina once and saw something similar to this. And it terrified him. Kakashi. I smell 3 unusual scents. Pakun told him. What could have done this, Kakashi? Pakun asked. I don't know, but I've heard rumors, from what I remembered. Going on a mission with Kushina. And seen something like this before. He said as he remembered showing this to Kushina before. It was during the time of the Third Shinobi War. They were attacking a Iowa outpost. After they got there, they found several bodies up in trees hanged with no heads, or spinal cords. He wasn't aware that Kushina had friends on the other side, helping her and protecting her on her missions. I'm going to write a message to Hokage-sama ASAP. That we need help like right now. Because there's no telling what we're up against. Gato and Zabuza aren't the only 2 we should be worried about. He says, quickly pulling out a note and write a message and then seals it in a scroll to give to Pakun. Take it to Hokage-sama. He says with the dog nodding and poofed in smoke to deliver the message to the Sandaime as he looked at the skinned headless bodies, wondering what on earth did this, whatever did this was no man, or shinobi. He and his team could be in grave danger of whatever did this to Gato's thugs, in which he assumed that's what they were before they were skinned. He decided to leave. Gato's yatch. What? What do you mean all of my men and spies have gone missing? Yelled Gato. I don't know. Sir, it's been a half week and we haven't heard from none of our spies in the village or any of our men in outposts. Replied the thug lieutenant with Gato glaring. How can this be? Was it those Konoha shinobi that did this? Gato demanded until another thug answered. No sir. We doubt it, but I've heard some strange things. We heard beast-like growls and yells at night. I think something attacked us. Something more animal-like, chimes in another thug. Don't be ridiculous. What animal makes people vanish? Gato snapped. Well sir, we've sent scouts, and they told us that they haven't been able to find any bodies, nothing but blood everywhere, and guts. Says a scared thug who was green when he heard what the scouts told him. I want those scouts to find out what did this here and now. Let's move. We are going to see Zabuza. Gato yelled with the second thug lieutenant nodding. Konoha at the moment. Hiruzen Sarutobi still the Sandaime Hokage who is currently looking at Kakashi's letter. Which made him confirm that Kakashi is going to need some assistance since Kakashi stated that there is bodies hanging in trees with no skulls or spinal cords, which could mean something is there, in Wave. Maybe he could have Kakashi try to capture this individual, including this Uzumaki Shredder character, that these people in Wave speak of. Last he checked Kushina had no family or clan left alive after Uzu's fall. Not to mention, her son, is still somewhat missing, or dead. He had Jiraiya search for Naruto for 12 years only to get nothing, in which they assumed that Naruto could be dead. Which saddened him. Hawk. Bring me Anko Midirashi Neko and her squad. And Hana Inuzuka. I am sending them as backup for Kakashi to help them possibly capture this being or whatever Kakashi might encounter on his mission. Hiruzen commanded. Yes Lord Hokage. Replied Hawk vanishing. If what Kakashi saw in Wave Village, they could possibly capture this mysterious bloodthirsty creature or shinobi, that did this. When he was Sandaime before Minato succeeded him he saw various reports and rumors that whenever Kushina gone on a mission enemy shinobi bodies would always be found in trees skinned, with nothing left but flesh. No heads or spinal cords. This is their only opportunity to capture whoever this person is, maybe could also persuade this mysterious person to join them. Back at Wave, Tsunami is currently cooking dinner while she thought of her savior, Uzumaki Shredder, and wondered who he was under that mask, who saved her life. She blushed. How could she have feelings for a stranger that she barely knows? After all she is a widow, since Kaiza was killed by Gato. She too missed her husband. She wonders how could she properly repay Uzumaki Shredder should they meet again. She couldn't help but feel joy that he's probably the one who's saving her village from Gato's reign. As she looked out the window staring into the bushes and trees since it was night out. I wonder are you out there, watching me, and protecting us? She says out loud as she went back to cutting some carrots. Had she looked long enough straight ahead she could have saw green eyes glowing brightly in the bushes that it faded. Gato and his group of thugs have arrived at Zabuza's hideout. And what do I owe the pleasure of you coming here Gato? Says Zabuza with a grunt with a black-haired girl tends to his wounds. There's a problem Zabuza. My men have mysteriously gone missing. My men claim it wasn't those Konoha shinobi you encountered. But something that is I don't know beast-like. I need you to make me believe if you can kill whatever it is that has killed my men. Gato asked Zabuza who looked straight into his eyes and frowned. Depends, but it's going to cost you extra since you want me to go after the bridge builder. Zabuza says with Gato glaring. Don't worry about the payment. Just kill whatever that has killed my men. Once you kill it and the bridge builder you'll get your money. Gato says with a groan and with that he left leaving the swordsman alone. Zabuza-sama. What is it that Gato needs you to kill? Haku asked. I don't know Haku. But whatever it is, we're going to find out. Says Zabuza as he laid down with her tending to his wounds. I may have to go look for some herbs soon Zabuza-sama. She would say looking at him. Go on ahead Haku. So that I could go and accomplish our job and kill whatever got Gato spooked. Zabuza says with a sigh as she nodded. Elsewhere. 5 of Gato's scouts are in the forest west from the villages they have been told to find out what has killed Gato's men and spies. They reached to another outpost that looked like it was raided and attacked. The 5 men gulped. feeling very terrified and uneasy about going inside to see if anyone was alive. All 5 men suddenly armed themselves with weapons they brought, which could be swords or knives. They all went inside. The lead scout held a torch since the outpost seemed dark, meaning there was no light or power. They saw lots of destruction inside the outpost. Blood everywhere, limbs, arms and legs laying around. It made all 5 of them green as they moved forward. Neither of them noticed an invisible figure hiding in the darkness with its eyes glowed bright red. Okay. You two split up and search for any survivors. You two stay with me, says the lead scout as they began to split apart, scared out of their minds. 2 scouts went separate locations, unaware of the invisible figure following them. One scout was holding his torch and a spiked bat. He suddenly heard a clicking sound which made his blood freeze. He turned around and before he could do another, the invisible figure swinged its sword, beheading him. The next figure frantically looked to his right. He could have sworn he heard something. Hey, who's there? He yelled, looking around frantically as he was shaking. And before he knew it, he was suddenly grabbed and taken in the darkness, dropping his torch and tried to scream but was muffled, then was silenced after being stabbed in the back 5 times and then dropped dead. What's going on, sir? What do you think is doing this? Asked a scout. I don't know, admitted the lead scout as they kept looking around for signs of life only to find none or no bodies, just blood and limbs. Suddenly a drop of blood fell on the lead scout, who blinked and looked the drop of blood that fell on him. He then looked up and then widened his eyes, as did the other 2 scouts besides him. And what they saw was skinned headless bodies. 8 bodies hanged up as the 3 suddenly pissed their pants. My Cammy. What the hell did this? Shouted another scout, very terrified. Before the lead scout could answer him, they heard growling as they turned to the source of it. The 3rd scout suddenly had his head blown off by a blue blast. Quote, exclamation mark, quote, screamed the lead scout as he and other scouts started running for their lives. The 2nd scout suddenly tripped over a stool as his leader kept running, leaving him to his fate. He heard walking as the invisible figure had out its blades and suddenly went to him and stabbed him to death as he screamed. The lead scout, who heard the scream from his fellow subordinate, he knew he died as he kept running, fearing for his life. He ran to the door and closed it shut. He ran to the bushes scared and started hiding. Oh my Cammy. What the was that? He yelled, really scared as he felt his blood pressure run up and his heart pumping from him, running in fear. As he hid in the bushes, he looked at the outpost door to see if the attacker was going to come out. He waited for 40 seconds and nothing came out. He breathed a sigh of relief and stood up. He needed to go inform Gato now. Suddenly something wrapped around his neck and yanked him further into the bushes as he screamed, while at the same time choking as he clutched the thing round his neck, in which was a whip. As he was pulled, he came face to face with an invisible figure that uncloaked itself. His eyes wide as he saw the figure reveal itself. It was Artemis. She snarled, looking down at the pathetic human. She did have blood on her from killing his partners. She tightened her grip on her whip and yanked him away, still choking him until he passed out. Later on, the lead scout suddenly gained consciousness as he looked around his surroundings. He tried to get up only to widen his eyes and look that his hands and legs are tied. He suddenly heard a growl, and from the right he saw Artemis, who held her whip. He flinched and tried to scream, only that he couldn't as he noticed his mouth is gagged. Naruto appeared uncloaked. Here is another one. Naruto. Artemis says as the scout seemed shocked that whatever she is, it could speak. Good work, Artemis. Now let's make our friend talk. Naruto says, walking towards the lead scout, who looked scared as he removed the gag from his mouth. Now, you are going to tell me who is this Zabuza? I hear he works for Gato. Naruto questioned as the lead scout winced, and then he noticed Naruto brought out his wrist blades and pointed them to his neck. I'm sorry, did I break your concentration? Please do tell me who Zabuza is, or do I have to slit your throat? Or can skin you alive? Naruto says with intimidation that it scared the lead scout, as Artemis suddenly liked the sound of Naruto being threatening, which seemed to arouse her in some form. He's a shinobi. A missing nin Gato-sama hired him to kill the bridge builder named Tazuna. The scout replied, not wanting to die. He wanted to live. Is that all? Naruto says in a cold voice. He's a swordsman. A skilled one. That's all I know. Please don't kill me. The scout pleaded. Are you sure that's all you know? Naruto asks as the scout nodded frantically. That's all I know. Honest. Please let me go. He begged as Naruto stared at him for a few moments with Artemis besides him. Artemis let him go. He says, surprising her. Naruto. She says, confused on why he's letting the scum go. You are going to relay a message to Gato and Zabuza. Tell him the Uzumaki Shredder will come for them. Naruto says with the man nodding as he cut him loose from his bindings as the man started running. Once he tells Gato his message along with Zabuza, he's going to quit working for Gato and find another job. Are you sure that was wise? She asked, frowning behind her mask. I'm sure. Besides, they already fear us. I want to see what this Zabuza is made of. Naruto says as he turned towards her. She nodded, understanding in what he was doing. Let's go weed out the rest of the thugs. He says as they both cloaked and left. With Gato. 3 hours later, one of his scouts had returned only to look haggard and very terrified as he babbled out what Uzumaki Shredder had told him. Which made the small businessman scowl and glare. The rest of the thugs who were present felt terrified as the scout told them all of what he had witnessed, which made them feel nervous. They were demons. I'm telling you. Especially the female one. As he gave a description on what Artemis looked like, she was taller than the male one he saw. At least 8 feet or 9 feet. And you guys claim that the female Yaujta are taller than the male ones, so Artemis is 9 feet tall. Be quiet. Just go and tell Zabuza exactly what he's up against. Hissed Gato to the lead scout, who nodded. Though on the inside Gato did feel slightly afraid of what his scout had told him. Just what in Kami's name made Uzumaki Shredder and this female masked being. 2 days later. Anko, Hana Inuzuka and Yugao Uzaki along with her squad of Anbu arrived in Wave to see what Kakashi is dealing with. So what's this in needing help, Kakashi? Normally this doesn't sound like you. Anko says with him sighing. Follow me and I'll show you why. He says with them following, but Yugao told her men to stay put and watch the area, as Hana told her 3 dogs to also stay put. As they got the area, Kakashi showed them the corpses that was still in trees as the 3 women suddenly turned green. Hana suddenly vomited as she smelled the smell of death. Oh my Kami. Anko say with wide eyes. Yeah, I'm sure you all heard of the rumors. Kakashi says as they nodded. Yeah. So this mysterious killer is in Wave. Yugao would say. Yeah. And I believe this Uzumaki Shredder is the mysterious killer, but he's not alone. Kakashi says with the 3 turning to him. What makes you say that? Asks Hana. From what Tazuna's daughter told us is that Uzumaki Shredder isn't alone and that there are 5 others with him. Kakashi says. This is crazy. No one has never seen this mysterious killer. Yet some villager saw him or it. Anko asks. I know. Just makes me wonder. Is there like a clan? Since you said it's 6 of them. Yugao would ask. Beats me. Kakashi says with a shrug. How are we going to capture it? Hana cuts in with everyone now thinking of a plan on how to capture this mysterious killer. That's a good question. How can we capture it? It's like a ghost. That doesn't want to be seen or want to be seen. Kakashi says, stroking his chin. Think we need to place traps around Tazuna's house and we take turns in patrolling to see where it is. Suggests Yugao. Good idea. Plus my dogs could help. Hana added. Yeah. Let's try that. Anko would say with others agreeing. But the other 5, what are we going to do about them? Should they realize we caught one of their own? Yugao says with them going silent. Yeah. If one mysterious killer was enough, the other 5 could be much worse. Anko says, now realizing this. We will think this plan to capture them through. Kakashi suggested with the other 2 nodding as they turned to Hana, who looked straight ahead and was tense as she was silent during this. What is it? Kakashi asked Hana, but she didn't answer. Hana. Anko walked close to her as did Kakashi with Yugao looking around. Hana, what the hell is wrong with you? Whispered Kakashi, who grabbed her, getting her attention as she turned from them but looked straight ahead into the trees, as she felt tense and spooked. There's something in those trees. Hana says quietly, with everyone going tense. From a far distance, cloaked was Naruto as he had recorded their conversation and watched them. Do you think it's the mysterious killer? Anko asks, pulling out a kunai quietly. Feeling her blood turn cold as was everyone else. Knowing the killer, could he watching them? I can't tell. Hana says as she can't see what was far off into those trees but caught the scent and knew it was there. You think we can make it if we run? Anko says. No. We can't. Kakashi says. Why? Yugao asked. Because we're being hunted. But it's alright, let's just leave here real slow. Says Kakashi. Like hell it is. Yugao hissed, holding her sword. Let's go. Now. Kakashi says as they all started running like hell, heading back to Tazuna's house. Tazuna's house. They made it, relieved that the mysterious killer didn't pursue them. At least that was what they thought. 'Cause Naruto followed them back here. They caught their breath and sighed. I'm scared. Anko says. Bullshit, Anko. You're rarely scared of anything. Hell, you're not even afraid of Ibiki. Yugao said, looking at her. I don't blame her for being scared. 'Cause I am, we all are. Hana says, looking at the trees. I remember on the night of the Kyuubi attack. A few of our clan members were searching for something and they found bodies hanged in trees with no heads or spinal cords. They couldn't identify who it was, but they smelled 3 scents they couldn't describe. Hana says with edge in her voice. There is something out there. That's in those trees, waiting for us, and from what I smelled while we were at that location, was no man. Even my clan members who were there where they found the bodies that night said the exact same thing. Whatever they smelled was no man, but something else. Hana adds. And the Hokage wants us to capture whatever the we are dealing with. He must have gone senile. Anko hissed. Anko, just calm down. Kakashi says, seeing her glare at him. Calm down. How the can I calm down? When there's something we've never seen before that's scaring us to death. If we live through this, I'm going to kick the Sandame in the nuts. Anko shouted. Hold on now. You not thinking we all are going to die, are we? Yugao cuts in, looking at Anko. I sure as hell hope to Kami we don't. Because I'm not dying until I kill the bastard that ruined my life. Anko hissed, walking off to go eat some dango to calm herself. I'm going to have my men keep watch on everything. We all need to keep our eyes open. Yugao says, walking off to go inform her squad. Kakashi left to go check on his team. Hana remained as she looked into the trees one last time. Naruto, while cloaked, was also looking at her. Hana decided to go in the house to go sit down and pray to Kami that she lives in this mission. Naruto decided it was time to go.